Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette and our wedding series. Today we discuss how to buy an engagement ring. Congrats, you just decided to propose. Now you just have to buy the ring, but that's probably going to be one of the larger purchases you'll make in your lifetime. So let me touch on a brief history of the engagement ring, the controversies, and most importantly, how you can buy one and what to pay attention to. The first recorded use of an engagement ring was in the 15th century when the Archduke Maximilian of Austria proposed to Mary of Burgundy with a then very rare diamond ring. This sparked a craze in the circles of nobility, and people wanted to have a precious stone as their engagement ring. It's important to note that engagement rings weren't just made up of diamonds, but also other precious stones. In the late 19th centuries, diamonds were found in South Africa and a cartel was created that is named DeBeers. They were very smart businessmen, had different marketing campaigns and used their influence to tell people, especially in the US, that an engagement can only be serious if a diamond was used, and later on, a diamond that cost at least 2 monthly wages. It was so successful that thereafter, almost all men made an engagement proposal with a diamond ring. The problem of diamonds is there are lots of controversies. On the one hand, there's something called a blood diamond, which means it comes from an area where the proceeds are used to finance wars. In general, mined diamonds are not environmentally friendly. There are lots of questions about human rights, the ecology, and the whole impact it has on the region where a diamond is mined. You may have heard of the Kimberley process, which was established in around 2000, that is a certificate that says this diamond is not a blood diamond. The problem is these things can be faked, and all it says is that this diamond doesn't come from a region that uses the proceeds for warfare. However, that doesn't consider the human rights aspects or the ecology at all. At the end of the day, even if you have a certificate, it's nearly impossible to trace back the true origins of the diamond. So keep that in mind. Now, on the flip side, there are lab-graded diamonds. As you know, diamonds are made up of graphite, just like your pencil, for example. It's just a different structure that forms under high pressure. Today, those can be created in the lab, and the lab-made diamonds are actually more pure, meaning they don't have inclusions which separates them from naturally mined diamonds. So using a 10 times magnifying loupe, you can tell whether something is artificial or not. I think in recent times they've even tried to intentionally include inclusions in the artificial diamond to make it more look like a real diamond. Diamonds of any kind have a nice sparkle, but they achieve a high price because they are rare. So with a man-made diamond, that aspect is gone, and so oftentimes jewelers that are a little scrupulous will try to sell you a man-made diamond for a natural diamond. Retailers claim a man-made diamond is about 30 to 40% less expensive. From what we've seen, it's on average just about 15% less expensive, although in reality, it's a lot cheaper to create a lab-made diamond than a mined diamond. Before you buy a lab-made diamond or even a regular diamond, figure out what your significant other really likes. Do they care about sustainability and ecology? Do they want the real deal versus the man-made thing, or they just don't care? But it's really advisable to figure it out beforehand in conversations that don't give away too much. The difficulty is that you might come across as being cheap if you buy a lab-created diamond. And a diamond is certainly a symbol of materialism. And if you get a stone that is too small, you could be considered to be too cheap. If it's too big, it could be considered to be ostentatious and a show-off. So getting it right is not that easy. My tip for you is don't worry so much about what other people say. Worry about what your significant other will say and what you think is right. It's only the two of you, and this is one of those pieces of jewelry that she's gonna wear for the rest of her life. It's probably gonna be the most worn jewelry, so get something that is nice and beautiful. It's not an investment, it's an expense. You buy it once, you're not gonna make it part of your retirement plan, and you're gonna wear it every day. So keep that in mind. You don't want to get the extra 2 diamonds on a ring if it just doesn't look as pleasing simply because it's on sale. Get something you really like in terms of looks. So how should you buy an engagement ring? First of all, set your budget. You may have heard of the 2-month salary rule, but my personal advice is to forget completely about that. It was a marketing scam almost by DeBeers, who just came up with it out of thin air, and I think later they even increased it to 3 months. So don't put pressure on it because it's just marketing. Personally, I bought my very first engagement ring on eBay. It was a vintage piece for $310. At the time, I had a $450 monthly allowance, and the ring had a pear-shaped dark red garnet with a white gold setting and filigree diamonds. I knew that my future wife loved dark red colors, and so it was a perfect gift. It fit within my budget, and because I went with a vintage ring, I got a lot more bang for my buck. You may ask where I set my first engagement ring. Unfortunately, the first ring was destroyed under a door accidentally, and it was irreparable, so I had to buy a second engagement ring, this time around an emerald in a platinum setting, and once again, we bought it at eBay, this time at a much higher price, but it's a very nice piece of jewelry and I could afford more. And as I said, it's something that my wife wears every day in her life, so I wanted it to be really beautiful. The average ring price in the US today is $4,000. If you don't have that, don't finance it. Find a way around it, save up for it, but it's not worth going into debt over it, especially if you have to pay that debt off together later on. Determine what you want to buy. Yes, the diamond is the most popular stone, but my wife wanted a colored stone. So figure that out beforehand. Do you want to go with a new design, maybe a designer, maybe a no-name, a custom piece, or maybe a vintage estate piece? There's no right or wrong, but it all depends on what your fiance wants. Step number 3 is to learn the basics about precious stones. For diamonds, that means the 4 C's, which is cut, clarity, carat, and color. Those 4 aspects determine the value of the stone and what you have to pay for it. The bigger you get, the more disproportionately expensive it gets. To get an in-depth understanding about that, please check out our guide on the website, which walks you through step by step what to pay attention to. So today the big question is, where do you buy the ring? Personally, I like to shop online, and so do a lot of other men, and you can buy diamonds online. Now, it's advisable to buy from trusted sources where you can return the stone, and you should always bring your stone to an independent appraiser once you've received it. That just makes sure you didn't get a fake stone, and it protects you and your investment. The pros of buying online are that you're in a no pressure sales situation. You can clearly see what you buy, you can compare, and there is no pressure. The cons are that you can't see the stone, you can't see the sparkle, you have to trust the seller. And while it may be less expensive to buy online, there's a lot that can be done with Photoshop, and what you see in the picture may not be what you end up getting in the mail. Now, you may have to do a little more education up front if you buy online, but I think it's good to do that anyways because it's a big purchase and you don't want to be screwed. If you buy a ring in a store, of course you have the assistance of a salesperson, but at the end of the day, they'll make some form of a commission. And even if they say, we don't make a commission, like on certain companies that I've heard online, once you talk to the sales reps, they get a salary that's adjusted to their performance in the previous year, which at the end of the day is a sales commission as well. So no matter where you buy a diamond ring in person, there is some element of commission, which means they want to sell you something that is more expensive and maybe something that's outside of your budget, so keep that in mind. Of course, you can see everything in person, but they may have a smaller stone selection, but you may be able to haggle a little bit. So it comes down to your personal preference. I suggest to build a relationship with a jeweler that you can truly trust, read some reviews, and always, even when you buy from a local store, bring it to an independent appraiser, and that's not someone that was recommended to you by that store. Do your own independent research. You may be tempted to buy your jewelry at chains. Personally, I think it's not the best idea because more often than not, the staff is a retail staff, not a jewelry expert, and they oftentimes have issues with fraud or things that are subpar in quality, but at the end of the day, you have to know what you do and again, bring it to an independent appraiser afterwards. Also make sure if they sell you any warranties that the center stone is covered and read the fine print. Otherwise, you're sorry afterwards. And for such a big purchase, that would be a shame. Of course, if you go with high-end retailers, you pay an extra price. A ring from Cartier will cost a lot more. Of course, the resale value is also higher, but you're not in the market to have an investment ring, something that will be worn. So you have to decide if it's worth it to you to pay extra for those names. Aside from the box it comes in, no one will ever be able to tell unless they take the ring off and look at the specific item. Now, it can be that they have a very intricate design. They usually get very high quality stones, but you also pay top dollar. Final tips, do's and don'ts of buying an engagement ring. Don't buy on the first stop. Go around, shop around, compare prices, and find the right ring for you. Some salespeople may want to lure you into buying today by giving you a special deal just now. Stay clear of that. Ideally, don't buy a ring with a preset stone because the setting can hide a lot of the flaws of the stone. So you want to buy the stone individually so you can inspect it, see the inclusions, take a look at the 4 C's, and then have it set into a custom setting that fits your fiance's hand and finger perfectly. Even if you don't know much about jewelry or engagement rings, do act with a certain confidence. It will give you more respect, and chances are they're not going to try to cheat you or lowball you in terms of quality. Don't settle on a price too early, and do play hardball when it comes to bargaining. The engagement ring business is basically the jewelry business today. So they want to sell you a ring, and there is room for negotiation. Do learn common ways of how stones can be treated, such as coloring and heat treatment, in our guide on our website here, so you're protected from that. Don't fall for the, oh, see how it sparkles in the sunlight trick, because even stones of inferior quality sparkle very nicely in the sunlight. Don't just rely on a certificate that comes with it. These things can be faked very easily, which again means go to an independent appraiser. If you're not entirely sure what she wants, I suggest to have a return policy and propose within the time frame so you can always go back and get exactly the ring that she wants, because it's something she's going to wear until the rest of her life. Don't think you have to propose with the final ring. You can always buy the stone, get a simple temporary setting that you can propose with, and then afterwards you can pick exactly the setting with her together that she likes. That way you ensure that the stone and the whole ring is within your budget, but you also get the look that she wants. Last but not least, don't think you have to buy something new. Personally, I'm a big fan of vintage jewelry because not only do you get a better bang for the buck, but also the workmanship is sometimes much more intricate. My personal tip for you would be look for a platinum setting, because platinum is harder to work with, which means most jewelers only use high quality stones to work with. Again, get the appraisal, but if you find a platinum ring, chances are they'll always have quality stones. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out the other videos in our wedding series where we cover things like dress codes or what guests should wear at a wedding, as well as wedding bands. And anything else you want to know as the groom.